Fresh into 2024, and we got our first horror movie titled Night Swim. Now, going into this movie, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was not expecting anything cool. The commercials made it seem like it was about a haunted pool, that there were these sort of demon creatures coming out of the pool to kill people. That is not what this movie was about at all. But before we get into that, I'm going to dive into the casting of this movie. So this movie stars Emil Hoffrey, Wyatt Russell, Kiri Koden, Ellie Araza, Jodie Long, Nancy Lehan, Avia Utuba, Aliyah J. Roberts, and Eddie Martinez. Now, since we are into the new year, I wanted to change things up a bit with how I format these review videos. Usually, I would just go straight into the synopsis of the film and its story, but I'm going to change things up. I'm going to instead start by talking about the movie spoiler-free as more of a critique and a review of that aspect of it, and then moving into the synopsis like I would usually do closer to the end. So without further ado, let's start off with the spoiler-free segment. The film follows this family, and they are suffering through a hard time at the moment. And so they are moving into a new house to sort of start over. And they notice that this house has an awesome pool, which they're super excited about. Unfortunately for them, some spooky things start happening around the house because of this pool. And whilst this movie can get cheesy at times, I feel like the actors really sell the point of this movie. It is a pool horror movie, and it should be treated as such. But with most of the action happening around the swimming pool, I feel like they did what they could. The actors do a good job. Well, of course, at times being very cringy, it's still a good watch, and I highly recommend it. The music is underlined disturbing at times, really selling that isolation and that eeriness that the film wants to go for. With the water being presented as a source of fear in this movie being where it pulls all of its horror, I feel like that's super unique, as it's something that we can all relate to. We all use water to shower, to bathe, to cook. We drink water, we use water in our lives every day, and to make that into something scary, I feel like is a really cool and fun idea to mess around with. Moving into spoilers, if you want to see this movie and don't want spoilers, you want to go into it completely blind, I would recommend leaving the video. If you've seen this movie or you don't care about spoilers, by all means continue to watch. So without further ado, that is the end of the spoiler alert warning, and we can get into the plot of the film. Forced into early retirement by a degenerative illness, former baseball player Ray Waller moves into a new house with his wife and 2 children. He hopes that the new backyard swimming pool will be fun for the kids and provide physical therapy for himself. However, a dark secret from the home's past soon unleashes a malevolent force that drags the family into the depths of inescapable terror. The movie opens up with this whole scene of this little girl. She gets up because she sees that her brother's boat is just chugging along in the pool by itself. So she goes up to her sick brother who's just connected to all these machines, and this family even has a nurse to take care of him. She goes up to her brother and she says, "Oh, your boat is in the pool. I'm going to go get it for you. I'll be right back." She goes to get the boat, and of course she's not going to be right back. You know that's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. She goes to the pool and she tries to reach for this boat, and she slips and falls into the pool. She grabs the boat and attempts to leave the pool, but is dragged into the water and jostled around before just vanishing. All that is left is her bunny slippers, which float in the pool alongside the boat she was trying to get. We see the title card, and then we jump a few years to see the Waller family. They've just gotten out of the doctor's office to talk about Ray's degenerative illness, and so now they're on the road again, looking for a place to start fresh. And they see this little house, and it captures their intrigue. and they find that surprisingly enough, it's cheap. I wonder why it's so cheap. But the realtor seems to just really want to sell the house and get out of there. She's like, oh yeah, there's an awesome pool in the back, there's lots of space for you and your family, and hell, there's even a school down the street. You guys are set. And the way she goes about this, she just kind of seems to just want to really sell the house and get out of there. Like, she doesn't want to be there. Some nice subtle foreshadowing. So they move into the house and nothing happens. They move in and they're really happy. Everything is going according to plan. And so they decide to clean out the pool. And while Ray and his 2 kids and wife are out there cleaning the pool, he is pulling stuff out of the drain. And he cuts himself on something inside of the drain of the pool. This then causes this black, dirty, muddy water to come up and start pooling in the area of the pool that he was working on. And they step back and they decide to hire a professional. And the professional declares that this pool and even the house is being fed from underground streams. And so it's all natural occurring water. And then he goes on a rambling about, oh, we were born from water, even though we're not meant to be in water anymore. There's always that nudge that you have, that you want to go in. Don't know what that's about, but he leaves and they get the pool working a couple days later. When it comes to the Waller family, they're pretty basic when it comes to horror movie family units. You got the dad, who was this once great baseball star, and he reminisces about the old days and wishes that he could go back to that. But alas, he's at a point where he can't really do that. And you got his son, who wants to live up to his father's greatness. You got the older daughter, who just kind of sucked into her phone and high school life. You got the mother, who's trying to do best for everybody. And that's pretty much the family unit for this movie. Nothing too crazy to speak of. They're pretty basic one-note family characters. So the family's really happy, and Ray and his wife talk about doing some water exercises, as apparently it's good for the degenerative disease that Ray has. And so they go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, whoa, man, like you're almost healed. Like, I've never seen this amount of development in cases like yours. Like, you're pretty much healed. Like, I've seen, like, astronomical improvements to your health. What the heck? Continue to do those exercises in your pool. And so with that, they leave and they continue to do the exercises in the pool. And eventually, Ray just becomes fully healed. Like, he doesn't need his cane anymore. He's not walking with a limp. He's fine. He's doing exercises in his little garage man cave. It's crazy. He's like lifting weights. He has this whole gym set up in his man cave where he keeps all of his baseball memorabilia. However, things are not what they seem to be. Creepy things start happening in the pool. We see the mother go for a nice swim, and she thinks she sees Ray on the pool edge just creepily staring at her. But she blinks and notices that he's not there anymore. The kids have these interactions with these zombie-like creatures that seem to come out of the pool at night to sort of drag them into the depths, but were unsuccessful. The kids are just very freaked out by this, but they decide not to tell anybody because they know that they're not going to believe that some zombie-like creature came out of the pool to try to drown them. Nothing too creepy happens after the fact, but the family does host this awesome pool party. Everyone in the neighborhood is invited, and they feel like this would be a great way to be part of the community and even meet some people. And so they have this awesome pool party. Everybody brings gifts of like food, stuff that they like to make, and they start drinking beer and having burgers and messing around in the pool. And so this one old lady comes up to the wife character, and she says, "Oh, this is such a lovely house. But, you know, it's really creepy, this location, you know? Somebody disappeared here." And so the wife's like, excuse me? And so this old lady's like, well, I didn't really want to tell you because you seem so happy and your kids seem so chill and you guys were adjusting, and I didn't want to spook you. But a little girl did get stuck in the pool and drown, and everyone was really sad, and that's probably why your pool hasn't been used in like 30 years. So, hey. And then this sends the wife character into a rabbit hole of conspiracy. She just goes on Google and she's looking up all kinds of information about this location and this house. And apparently, that wasn't the first time that this happened. What happened at the beginning of the movie wasn't the first time it happened. It goes back a couple years of people disappearing at this location. But she does some more digging and finds out the person that had the kids that died is still alive and lives not too far away from the house. So she goes to visit this lady, and she seems really nice and friendly, a bit senile, but really a nice person. And so she talks with him for a little bit, and they seem to be getting along really well. And then our character decides to go, no more bullshitting me. Don't lie to me. I know that you had children, and I need you to know what is wrong with my pool. It is messing with me and my kids, and my husband's just randomly cured for some reason. And so something seems to change in the atmosphere. The water becomes corrupted by this black murkiness, and the woman even seems to become possessed with the same murky black water substance in her veins and in her eyes. And she then tells the wife that the pool is magical. The pool is sort of like a wishing well, and before there was a pool there was actually a lake. And this lake was worshipped by people that lived in the woods that this lake was in before it was a pool. And this lake was magical because it had the ability to grant people's desires. However, there was a dark side to the magic. The only way for the lake to continue giving to people is by taking the lives of others. So basically, it needed a sacrificed person to give people's desires to them. And that the lake has a will of its own, and deals have to be made, and that you can't escape the water. While all this is happening, Ray has a bit of a possession in the shower. He's having a late night shower, and all the black, gross, satanic, cursed water comes down and rains on him, and he's just bathing in this water, and he's becoming possessed. He starts gurgling and hiccuping, and his eyes become black like the woman's eyes. He starts bleeding black water out of his eyes, and it's just a really nasty possession scene. And he starts going after the kids. The kids start freaking out, and this is basically what the wife comes home to. He's basically walking around the house all creepily like a creepy homicidal serial killer, and he's just acting all kinds of sus and crazy. On top of healing him, it seems like the water also gave Ray some level of superhuman strength and even made him very durable. I mean, this guy takes a lot of pain while he's possessed, but that might also just be because he's possessed and not so much because the water healed him. Fortunately, the older daughter manages to get the upper hand on Ray and just hammers him with one of his trophy baseball bats from his baseball days in the legs, just knocking his legs out and sort of winding him. The ghost, the water ghost, whatever, comes out of his mouth, and he's free from its influence, and he sees what he's done, and he feels so bad, he feels so guilty. But then the water sort of ghost thing goes inside their son as they are attempting to leave the pool. And so the father realizes, there has to be a sacrifice. It's not going to let my family leave unless somebody dies. So he willingly ventures in the water and just sinks and disappears into the darkness, never to be seen again. Also, just before we continue, I want to talk a little bit about those zombies that we see earlier in the film. Those are not demons, like I originally thought they would be, and what the commercials made it seem like they were. Those are the victims, the sacrifices that were used to grant people's wishes, their desires. So they're basically the coins within the wishing well. And the cursed water, whatever, the water uses them to enact its will, even allowing them to leave the water entirely to go and do stuff around the area of the pool. And even in some cultures, water is treated like a gateway for supernatural entities to pass into our world. So I like the fact that the pool seems to get bigger, smaller, even infinite throughout the film, just sort of symbolizing that sort of gateway into another mysterious dimension. With the day saved, the family hires a crew to destroy the pool. Originally, they were going to leave, and the kids were like, Mom, we shouldn't leave. Dad would not want that because then we would just pass down this to somebody else and they would suffer the same way we have. Our dad would not have wanted that. So they agree that they're going to hire somebody to destroy the pool. So basically, they use cement and dirt and they fill in the pool so that it can never, ever have influence over anybody ever again. And that's the end. The family lives happily ever after, and the pool is seemingly destroyed and sealed away behind dirt and stone forever, never to be used again. And that's pretty much it. What are my thoughts on this movie? Well, movie is still a cheesy horror movie. I'm not gonna lie there. But it's one of those movies that's kind of this cheesy, fun aesthetic to it. And using the water itself as the antagonist, I feel like was an interesting creative liberty. We use water so much in our everyday lives, and I feel like this movie was trying to go for the vibe that Jaws went, instilling that fear of sharks, but in this case, it's a fear of cursed water. The movie was alright, with the acting looking really good and the music being an absolute banger, instilling that fear and mysterious dark dread that the film often has to it, and it's really well done. Would I watch this movie ever again? Probably not. Just a kind of basic, cheesy horror movie about some cursed water. I don't really feel like it needs to be watched a second time. Even water itself isn't that dangerous unless it's like scalding hot or you drowned in it. All things considered, it is a borderline alright movie about some cursed water. That's all you really need to know. If you want to go see this movie, alright. If you like this movie, if you adore this movie, alright. To me, it's just a basic, cheesy horror movie about some cursed evil water. That's all it is to me. But let me know what you guys think about this movie in the comments below. And with that, do take care, have a great night, and I'll see you in the next video.